The ultimate portable creator showdown. Do you choose Apple's optimized silicon efficiency or the flexible touchscreen versatility of premium Windows hardware? First up, the Apple 2025 MacBook Air. It is completely silent, highly efficient, and edits 4K video all day on a single charge. Let's roll the tape. I went into this expecting a minor chip bump, the usual annual refresh. But after using this as my main machine, I feel like this is the first time in years that the base model MacBook Air is the one I can actually, unreservedly, recommend. It's not about the M4 chip, it's about what Apple finally bundled with it. Design and build quality. Let's get this out of the way. If you've seen the M3 or M2 MacBook Air, you've seen this one. It's physically identical. We have the same thin, squared-off aluminum body, which I still think is fantastic. It weighs 2.7 pounds, feels incredibly dense and premium, and opening the lid with one finger is still satisfying. The keyboard and trackpad are, as always, the best in the business. There's no change here, and that's a good thing. My one complaint remains. All the ports are on one side. I'm still living with two Thunderbolt 4 ports and a MagSafe charger, all crammed onto the left. Key features in action. I want to focus on three things because they're the only ones that really matter in day-to-day use. 1. The 16GB base RAM. This is the real headline. For years, I've had to tell people, get the Air, but please upgrade the RAM. Apple shipping 8GB of memory in a $1,000 plus laptop felt like a bad joke. With the M4 model, the $999 base configuration starts with 16GB of unified memory. This completely changes the experience. I'm a heavy multitasker. My workflow is a mess of Chrome tabs, Slack, Spotify, Figma, and multiple documents. On the 8GB M3 Air, I'd eventually hit a wall. I'd see that memory pressure in Activity Monitor, and things would start to lag. With this M4 and 16GB, I haven't been able to make it sweat. This is the single biggest real-world upgrade, and it makes the starting price feel like a genuine value. The M4 chip in a fanless body. The new M4 chip has a 10-core CPU, which is 2 more efficiency cores than the M3. Is it faster? Yes. Does it feel like a revolution? No. Where I did notice it was in heavier tasks. I ran a Windows 11 virtual machine through Parallels, and it felt snappier than it ever did on my M2 Air. When I was batch editing a set of 50 photos in Lightroom, the previews generated noticeably faster. But this is still a fanless machine. When I exported a 10-minute 4K video, the M4 was faster than the M3, but it got hot and you could feel it throttle back at speed. It's like having a sports car engine and a compact car body. It's powerful, but it can't redline for long. The 12-megapixel center stage camera. Finally, Apple upgraded the webcam sensor to 12 megapixels, and it now includes center stage. The image quality is definitely sharper and less grainy in low light than the old 1080p camera, but the center stage feature, which I thought was a gimmick, is surprisingly useful. I pace a lot in video calls, and the camera just smoothly follows me around in the frame. It's a small, polished feature that makes the Air feel more pro. Performance and daily reality. For my daily grind, this machine is silent, fast, and cool. The M4 chip paired with the 16GB of RAM means I never have to think about closing apps or tabs. It just works. The battery life is where I found a slight trade-off. Apple claims the same up to 18 hours as the M3. In my testing, which involves a lot of web browsing, document writing, and streaming, I was consistently getting about 13 to 14 hours. That is fantastic. It's more than a full day, but it does seem to be an hour or two less than what I got on the M3. My guess is the more powerful 10-core M4 chip just sips a little more juice. It's a trade-off I'm willing to make. The Apple Intelligence features are here, but they feel very beta. It's neat to have AI help rewrite an email, but it's not the game changer Apple is marketing it as. Right now, it's not a reason to buy. Limitations and trade-offs. My biggest complaint is the display. It's 2025, and this is still a 60 Hz panel. The Liquid Retina display is bright and beautiful, but after using competitors like the new Dell XPS 13 with its gorgeous OLED screen, the Air's display feels a step behind. The motion blur is noticeable when scrolling. The other trade-off is the base 256GB SSD. While Apple hasn't confirmed it, this is likely a single, slower NAND chip, just like in previous models. If you're moving large files, the 512GB model will be faster. For most people, you won't notice, but it's a corner Apple cut to hit that $999 price. Final verdict. This is the easiest MacBook Air recommendation in a long time, but with a few clear conditions. Buy this if you are upgrading from an Intel-based or M1 MacBook Air. This will be a revolutionary leap in performance and battery life. You are a student or professional who needs a silent, reliable, all-day machine for a mix of productivity and web-based tasks. You are going to buy the M3 and upgrade the RAM. This base model gives you that, plus a better chip for less money. Skip this if you already have an M2 or M3 MacBook Air. The M4 is not a big enough jump to justify the cost. You are a creative professional who regularly exports long videos or renders 3D models. You need a fan. Go for the MacBook Pro. You demand the best screen. That 60 Hz panel is the Air's only truly budget feature in a premium body. But the HP Spectre x360 14 counters with a brilliant 2-in-1 OLED touchscreen and flexible modes for digital artists. Let's see which creator machine wins. The biggest surprise during my testing was not the new AI processor everyone keeps hyping up. It was realizing that for the first time in years, I stopped reaching for my external mouse and dedicated webcam completely. This machine fixes the two biggest annoyances I usually struggle with on Windows laptops, but it does make some interesting compromises to get there. Design and build quality. HP has finally mellowed out those aggressive, sharp, gem-cut corners from previous years. The new chassis feels much softer and more comfortable to hold, especially when you flip the screen around to use it in tablet mode for reading or sketching. It is built like a tank with zero keyboard flex and a hinge that stays exactly where you put it, which is critical for a 2-in-1. I tested the slate blue model, and while it looks incredibly premium, I found that the matte finish collects fingerprints rather quickly. You might want to keep a microfiber cloth in your buy. One design choice I absolutely love is the port placement. HP kept the angled corners at the back for the USB-C ports, meaning your charging cable stays out of the way of your mouse hand. They also included a drop-jaw USB-A port, which saved me from living the dongle life that Dell XPS users have to endure. Key features in action. The star of the show here is undoubtedly the display. The OLED panel with its 2.8K resolution is stunning, but the 120 Hz variable refresh rate is what actually changes the experience. Whether I was scrolling through long documents or browsing the web, everything felt fluid and responsive. I edited a batch of photos in Lightroom, and the color accuracy matched my calibrated desktop monitor perfectly right out of the box. However, the feature that genuinely improved my daily life was the 9-megapixel webcam. This is hands down the best built-in camera I have ever used on a laptop. I took several Zoom calls from a dimly lit hotel room, and the video remained sharp and noise-free without that muddy watercolor look you usually get. The AI framing features are subtle and actually useful, keeping me centered without making jerky movements. I also need to highlight the haptic trackpad. It provides a crisp, satisfying click across the entire surface, regardless of where you press. It feels nearly identical to the Force Touch trackpad on a MacBook, which is the highest praise I can give a Windows input device. It is massive, smooth, and makes navigating Windows gestures feel intuitive rather than frustrating. Performance and daily reality. Inside this machine is the new Intel Core Ultra chip.
In my daily routine of running Chrome with 30 tabs, Slack, Spotify, and Photoshop simultaneously, the laptop never stuttered. I even edited some 4K video footage in Premiere Pro. It handled timeline scrubbing surprisingly well, though export times are obviously slower than what you would get from a laptop with a dedicated graphics card. The biggest win for me was the battery life. Historically, OLED screens destroy battery life, but I consistently got around 10 hours of real mixed use. That is rare for a Windows machine with this kind of display. I could leave my charger at the hotel and work confidently at a coffee shop all day. The fans do kick in when you push the system with updates or heavy exports, but the noise is a low whoosh rather than a high-pitched whine. It is quiet enough that it did not annoy my coworkers in a silent office environment. Limitations and trade-offs. It's not all perfect, though. HP loads this premium machine with way too much software out of the box. I spent the first hour just uninstalling McAfee and various HP Assistant apps that kept popping up with notifications. For a laptop at this price point, the experience should be cleaner. Also, while the hardware is premium, the price tag is steep. You're paying a premium for the design and that incredible camera. Another minor gripe is the weight. While it works as a tablet, holding a 3-pound device in one hand to read an article gets tiring after about 10 minutes. If you want a dedicated drawing slate, an iPad is still ergonomically superior. Final verdict. Buy this if you are a remote worker or executive who lives on video calls and needs a versatile machine that looks professional and sounds great. It's also fantastic for photographers and designers who need a color-accurate touch display in a portable package. The webcam and haptic trackpad alone make it a joy to use daily. Skip this if you're a heavy video editor or gamer, as the integrated graphics have clear limits compared to laptops with thicker laptops. Also, look elsewhere if you're on a tight budget, because the Lenovo Yoga 9i offers a similar convertible experience for often less money. Ultimately, the HP Spectre x360 14 is the best Windows 2-in-1 I have used this year because it focuses on the features that actually matter for daily use.
The verdict? For unmatched battery life, silent operation, and sheer Apple Silicon rendering efficiency, the MacBook Air remains untouchable. But if your creative workflow demands a stylus, a stunning OLED touchscreen, and tablet mode flexibility, the HP Spectre takes the crown.